All right, you ready, sweet tea?
Dude, I am always ready. It's midnight here, man. Again, how many times are we here till midnight?
What are we doing here on a Friday night at midnight? But I just feel like we got to share this stuff,
We love
man.
it, though. We love it.
Yeah.
What do you got for me today?
All right, sweet tea, sweet tizzle, sweet T-Rex. Today, we're going to go over the top 10 behavior hacks to get what you want in a negotiation. First thing I need to tell you is that I think, sweet tea, you'll probably acknowledge this. I'm not really good at negotiating at all with people that I care about. Employees, family members, the people that I love, and just, you know, the whole BDA family. And I'm not that good at that. I'm not gonna try to endorse being manipulative. I'm just telling you the best way behaviorally to go about getting what you want. I wanna make it clear that my board certified behavior analyst credential does not cover the content in this material because it's not all evidence-based. It's my experience. I do want to say that my experience with negotiation and trying to get things that I need for my family and for employees, I've been able to build a business from, 2 people to 560 people, and from, like a $10,000 business to an 8-figure business. So think about 8 figures, it's a decent amount. Step number 1 in a negotiation, or just trying to get what you need and what you want for your family and who you love. First, you want to talk to the person that has the resources. Talk to them and just kind of let them talk. Let them explain things. Find out if you can learn something from them. People are often very eager to share something with you. Get them speaking, because when you get them speaking, you'll little by little start to find out things that they care about, which will help you in your negotiation. Step number 2. Try to figure out if you can understand the functions of their behavior. This is behavior analytic and science-based. Now, I'm not saying you can figure that out in a short conversation, but what I am saying is that, people do things for one of 4 reasons, or sometimes multiple of those 4. They do things because they like attention or negative attention. They like to escape something undesirable. It may be because they like tangible items such as an iPhone or money or things like that. And people lastly do things for internal, or what they call automatic reinforcement. So if there's a way you can try to ask some questions during step number 1 to figure out what they care about, you could probably figure out some of those things. Now, I gotta give you a disclaimer, that's not gonna be a valid functional behavior assessment. It's just an interview to see what they care about. Number 3 critical factor in any negotiation or to get what you want. Do not use the words, could you do this? Because that places a demand on someone, and right away, a lot of people are like, wait, I have to do something? So what I suggest is that you start with a question saying, is it an option for me to get this price? Or is it an option for this to happen? And that way, they're very likely to say, yeah, it's an option. I mean, if someone's going to say something's not optional, then you probably don't want to negotiate with them in the first place. Step number 4, if someone gives you a price on something and they tell you what they're willing to give you, it's important that if you're not comfortable with it, you say to them, is that the best you can do? Just by asking that, just show your disappointment and be clear and say, is that the best you can do? You'd be amazed at how often people say, well, I could do this one other thing. Or they're like, let me check with my manager, especially car dealers. And there's really no like manager that they're talking to. They're just going back, having a cup of coffee, and then they come back and act like they got a deal for you.
I was about to say car dealers, car salesmen.
Sweet tea, you're already a behavior analyst in the making. Number 5 critical factor in trying to get what you want. It sounds accusatory. Do not say, you did not give me a good deal. The phrase you need to use is that, I don't feel like I got a good deal. When you say you, it's kind of accusatory, and the person's like, oh, defensive, like I didn't do something right. Just make sure that you're keeping the language about yourself. So same thing if you're a leader and someone didn't do something you asked them to do. On a different note, you don't want to say to your direct report or to the employee, or in a relationship for that matter, you don't want to say, you didn't do this, or you didn't turn in the assignment. Don't want to do that. What you want to do is say, I didn't get that turned into me. I didn't get the assignment. Because then again, it focuses on not blaming them, but it's more about you and you not getting something. Number 6, this is a big one. Actually, it just happened when I was dealing with a banker. Ask them, what is the downside? Every single thing is not always roses and sunshine. almost anything that someone's going to negotiate with you, there's some drawback. Just ask them, say, what is the downside of me accepting this offer? And sometimes you'll be amazed to see that they're very honest about that, which is respectable. And number 7, which goes along, it expands on number 6. The best thing you can do is say to the person you're negotiating with, just say, look, can you take off your hat as a salesperson or whatever they are, and just put yourself in my shoes for this 1 second. If you were me, what would you do? Just by asking that for a second, you know, most people that are good people, if they know there's something that's not really great about what they're selling you or you're negotiating, they often feel guilty and they'll say, wow, here's the downside. It just happened with me when it came to an investment or with a certain banker, and I asked, what's the downside of the product? They're like, well, there are fees and you can only make X number of transactions per month. Number 8, this one has a little bit of behavioral science behind it. It's similar to behavior momentum in some ways, not altogether. So what you want to do is bring your body language and your vocal responses in sync with the discussion. So when you're landing that deal, you may just say, start nodding your head. You're saying, you agree to that deal, right? And by nodding your head at the same time as they're making that decision, they're very likely to nod their head with you. And you can also ask that question where at the end of it you throw in yes. I know Matt Linder, our executive vice president, is really good at that. He'll say, so that's something we agree on, yes? And then just by nodding his head and saying yes, they say yes. It brings a little bit of momentum to it. Again, not trying to be manipulative, just trying to get something that you're entitled to. Step number 9, critical in getting what you want or in negotiation. After you've gone back and forth on what you're looking for, what they're offering, just flat out make the ask. And if you're not getting the answers. And when you ask for what you want and you narrow it down, the most important thing that you can do after the ask is just silence. Because it's going to seem uncomfortable, but just allow a lot of silence to occur right after the question. Because what you'll find is if you just wait it out, the person will start talking, and then the uncomfortable silence will result in them often saying, okay, it's good. Step number 10, probably the most important thing. If you're not real comfortable with the negotiation, that's when and you're not happy with not getting what you think is needed, the best thing you can do, step number 10, walk away. Thank them, be very courteous, shake their hand, and just start walking away. You would be amazed as you're walking away and out the door, maybe at a car dealership, how suddenly they chase you down and say, okay, it's a deal. Maybe it's a little bit of the hustle in me, but when I was younger, I used to go to Tijuana, Mexico, and I would want to buy silver or gold. So it was interesting how I would go up and I'd have the money in my hand, so it was visible stimuli, and that would be an SD or discriminative stimulus in behavior analytic terms. I would go to buy a necklace or something for my girlfriend, and they would say no, and then I would say, no problem, and I would just kind of start walking away. And 9 out of 10 times, the person would be like, amigo, come back, my friend. And then they say yes. So those are my top 10 factors you should consider and steps into how to get what you want and not be manipulative, but just get what you're entitled to. What do you think, Sweet Tea?
I like it. I think people are going to be buying a lot of cars after this.
Buy them and sell them. Do what's right for you and your family. Thanks again, and if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button if you like it, and also hit that bell so you get notified of all of our videos. Thank you.